when you're working with celebrities, you've got to be able to envision them, or executives and whatnot. You have to be able to envision them in so many different ways, right? And for some of them, like with the there are some of those players in the you have that are really comfortable in every situation, having on makeup, having their hair done, no matter whether they're playing or they're in the tunnel. And
Exactly.
others, like Nafisa, when she's like doing her thing, don't come towards her with no mascara. No, you know what I mean? And it don't hurt that she wake up like this, right? She's gorgeous. Like the girl rolls out of bed, looks like she got on a full face. But
Yeah.
like, I had to learn, like I was trying to put a whole bunch of makeup on her in the tunnel and she was like, she's like, I don't want all of that because I gotta play. And I don't want to play in all that makeup.
Right.
Overstood.
Uh, y'all know it takes a special track to do this. I'm Mama B's accused, dripping sauce. It's just the fluid, it's the chef. I'm here to remind y'all I'm sick with it. My name is stuff that's hot, it's ubiquitous. Meaning it's one and the same, simple and plain. I'm all about my paper, the bacon, cheddar, and pain. I got these lanes running for the border. The talented Mr. Porter, keep it flowing like it's water. But here we go, there we go, creeping to a low speed. Is it him and his friend sitting in the nosebleeds? Play it cool, he ain't special just cause he's on TV. Everybody's hands up, acting like they know we.
Welcome to the Taste Music Here Food podcast show. I am your host, Ed Porter, the home for all things food, music, and culture related and how they connect. Today we have an amazing guest, someone we were supposed to have on a little while ago, but I'm happy it happened when it did. And so before we start, I have to give this woman her flowers the best way I know how, and I'm gonna do it with this intro. Okay. Today's guest is a creative architect whose canvas is culture itself, a stylist, a designer, and a master image maker. She doesn't just follow trends, she builds legacies through style. Through founder of KS Styling Team and has spent over 15 years crafting bold, authentic visuals for artists, athletes, and brands, recently shaping the signature looks of WNBA superstar Napheesa Collier. Whether it's a magazine cover, a brand campaign, or a red carpet moment, her work bridges fashion, music, and identity, with every detail telling a deeper story. From the runway to the streets, from classic cuts to cultural statements, when she styles, the world pays attention. Please welcome the stylish, the unstoppable, Miss Kimberly Steward.
Oh my goodness.
How was that?
You're gonna make me tear up a little bit.
Listen, so I'm gonna tell you like I tell so
gosh.
first and foremost, I cherry pick all of my guests. So there's no one that sits in this chair that I would not love to have and speak to. So the best way to pay that forward is to do you justice with the proper amount of flowers. And so
Oh my
rose
goodness.
petals for you.
I appreciate that. Like, kudos, King.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you. And thank you for being here. Thank you.
Listen, you just literally almost brought me to tears.
And we can no matter where you go, any red carpet that you're doing, we can have that. We have the audio. Play that at your will.
Oh my
Before you
gosh.
walk in, that's your new intro. You
That's
can
my
have
new
that.
pep talk.
Yeah, so people need to
Okay.
know. People need to know.
Okay.
So
All right.
one thing I know about creatives, myself being a creative, is that we are horrible self-promoters.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Because we are too busy doing and less showing. If anybody you see showing tons before doing is not really doing anything.
No, that's real.
And so if you're
That's real.
spending, you have to balance. You're either spending your time doing something or talking about doing something. And so you're a doer. So therefore, there you go.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
You're gonna go down in my book. So let me tell you, there's one other person who has made me, and I mean made. She strong armed me,
Oh,
and that's King Ashley Ann.
great
She,
company.
yeah,
Great
when I
company.
met her years ago at the Periscope Summit, and you got to be a little older to know about Periscope. She said, I Googled you. And she said, not many. And back then,
Yeah.
like you had to have done something to be Googleable.
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah.
But I I didn't realize, I didn't get it like that. And she
Yeah,
said, I don't want to ever see you introduce yourself or write your name down without putting award winning in front of it. And I
absolutely.
said, that I'm not gonna do that. That's weird. Like,
Yeah,
why would I do that? And she was like, no, sis. She was like, get your bag. And I
yeah,
said, okay. And I did that and it changed my career. So
absolutely.
shout out to King Ashley and she is the bomb. Love you,
Yes,
girl.
yes, absolutely. Speaking of, that's a great segue into your origin story. So I also not only Googled you, so I do a deep dive. So anybody that I want to talk to is for a multitude of reasons. So this show specifically is about food, music, and culture. In my
Mhm.
personal humble opinion, I believe that food and music are two of the four universal languages.
Mm,
So
mhm.
there's food, everybody understands something tasty when they eat it, like
Absolutely.
chocolate, like we just
Abs-
talked about. Everybody
Absolutely.
understands a good beat or music that moves them, whether they understand the language or not.
Correct.
The other two are violence
Hmm.
and then unconditional love. Everybody understands what unconditional love feels like,
Yeah.
and everybody understands what a left hook is. Whether it is what it,
Well,
you know what's up when it's up.
listen.
And
And you
so,
know when you're down.
yes, the two food and music for me, as I believe, are the two easiest way to get to know a person and to immerse yourself in the culture.
Hmm.
And along
That's
with
right.
that comes out of culture, right? And so being stylish
Mm,
and being a style a image maker is a huge component of that culture piece. And those
definitely.
two, all three of those things have to work unilaterally in order for that to be a thing.
No,
So
that's right.
talk to us about your origin story, about what how did you when did you know that, because this is not an atypical. This is not something you go to the guidance counselor and like. This is not on
Right.
the list, right?
Right.
So
No,
is
it's
that
not on
so
any list.
exactly? So when did it
No.
become your thing?
Wow. So if you ask my mother, it was when I was born. She birthed me, and here I am. Like the person that I am today has not changed much. She said that when I was less than 6 months old,
Mm.
I would literally look at people from their shoes up. So they would walk in the room, and I'd look at their shoes, and if I wasn't like vibing with their shoes, I wasn't vibing with them. She was like, people would come up to her and have on horrible, like their shoes wouldn't match their outfit, or the shoes just weren't good shoes at all. And she was like, I would scream and cry when they would try to like, reach out to me and whatnot. So that turned into a full on. I have hundreds of pairs of shoes to this day. But then she thought I was cute as I got older, so she put me into modeling.
Mhm.
And, I modeled and I learned the business on that side. And I realized I didn't like it. I didn't want to be in front of the camera. I wanted to be behind the camera.
My, how things have changed though for you.
So, you know, me being in front of the camera always comes because somebody gets my interest in a certain way.
Right.
And then I go, okay. Or, the good old publicist in my life tell me, listen,
You
you
got to
need
do
to
this. Yeah, you
you
got to
need
do
to do
this.
something. So I'm like, okay. And then, I learned for a long time, a long, long time ago that social media was where it was at. So I had to, kind of
Yeah,
bring
yeah,
that old thing back.
yeah.
But I modeled until I was about, mm, man, 19, 20.
Okay.
Seriously, I did it, almost for a living. And then when I was about, I would say about 13, 12, 13, my sister used to sell Mary Kay. Both of my sisters are celebrity hairstylists. My older sister also did makeup, and she had this pink Mary Kay briefcase that I thought was the best thing since sliced bread. Let me tell you, I
I think it's cool right now.
idolized.
I Mary Kay was about that business. They had the
It was
pink Cadillacs. Yeah.
pink. Okay. And my favorite color is green. I'm not even a pink girl, but something about that briefcase. And she opened it and it was like the light. And it was like these little cardboard things of all these like testers
Okay.
of makeup. And so I would watch her transform people in less than 30 minutes because they had 30 minutes to do these appointments. So, make a very long story short, I was just enthralled. And one day that woman gave me that briefcase. Oh my
Oh,
God.
you were gifted the briefcase.
Oh
Okay.
my goodness.
So
She might as well.
she created the monster.
Oh,
Okay.
completely created the monster. And so, I thought I was going to be the best makeup artist in the world. That was my goal. And I wanted to be Pat McGrath. I wanted to be her baby. And so,
Yeah, go Google Pat McGrath.
yeah,
Those who don't know. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
If you don't know,
Yeah.
you better find out.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, so I got in the industry. I started doing makeup, and I had been in the industry already, so it was a little bit easy to transition. Where it didn't get easy is when I started to build my book, I was working with artists that weren't all the way up to the level of my vision.
Mm.
And I wasn't good enough yet to work with my sisters. And so I started doing these photo shoots, trying to build the portfolio, and I would do this amazing makeup to myself, and I thought it was amazing. And I look back on it now, and it's like dreadful. But but
Time and space. Time and space. It's gonna come back in fashion. Believe me.
well, I don't know, because it was bad. I don't think bad makeup's gonna come out. I don't know. But anywho, so I was like, I want this kind of hair, and the people that I was working with couldn't do it, or they didn't have the vision to do it. And so I was like, well, I've watched my sisters do this. Like, I can figure this out. And I've watched it on set. I've watched, all these different shows. I did a lot of like runway shows. And so I can figure it out. And so I did. I figured out the hair. And so I started doing hair and makeup in my photo shoots. I wasn't getting hired for it yet. Eventually I started getting hired. Then I wanted to do fashion shoots. And so the wardrobe had to come in, and same thing. I didn't have access to wardrobe stylists who had the vision that I had.
Mhm.
And so I had to start wardrobe styling. And all along the way, I was the casting director, I was the producer, I was the set designer. Like, you name it, I was doing all the things. And the whole time I was art directing.
Mhm.
And I didn't even know what an art director was. So that's how my career kind of blossomed.
That's amazing.
And yeah, I'm grateful.
It's a very so again another reason why I love this platform is that to me I believe there's so many parallels between hip hop in the world, and so what you just
Yeah.
described was a very hip hop approach at a necessity.
Yeah,
You kind of you willed your way to
absolutely.
and learned, so you got to a point to where you was the most knowledgeable person in the room in all of these aspects.
Well, what's really, 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 this brings me back in my life. I feel like I've lived about 12 different lifetimes. I used to manage hip hop artists, and I used to manage models. And so my old business partner wanted an entertainment firm. And so we had an entertainment firm. We had an artist division, a modeling division. And so I used those opportunities to image those artists
Absolutely.
and those models. And that's how I honed my craft, honestly. And there were a few artists that weren't that great, but because I gave them an image,
Right.
they were in the industry, like in the actual music industry. And so, like, kudos to hip hop, because let me tell you,
Listen,
it fed me and my kids.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, right about now, we're going to play a little game I call One's Gotta Go.
Okay.
And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 different options,
Okay.
and then you just got to pick which one just got to go. Just to make the cut.
Okay.
All right, so there's going to be 3 staples, okay? All right. Red lipstick, statement jewelry, or high heels. One of them got to go.
Statement jewelry.
Statement jewelry.
Yeah.
And why'd you choose that one? And how does that most reflect
First
your
of
design
all,
philosophy?
first of all, red lipstick. Do you
That's
see
why I
my
chose. That's
face?
why I
Like, what
chose
are
it.
we
That's why
talking about?
again I do my research. That's why I chose it.
Red lipstick is life. Okay.
Okay,
I don't care if you're black, white, yellow, green, purple, blue. Red lipstick looks good on everybody. I don't care if
it
you're
does.
scared of it. It still looks good on you, regardless. You may have to find your shade of red. I have never met a shade of red lipstick that I don't like.
Understood. Understood.
So that is not a thing to
Right.
go away. High heels. I have been walking in high heels since I could walk. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, what?
That
What?
can't go anywhere.
Can't go.
Yeah.
Statement jewelry. Although, I mean, it's hard,
Yeah.
but I feel like with wardrobe and with makeup, you can take the place of accessory or jewelry.
It's a great point. It's a
Yeah.
great point. Um, like we just talked about, I think the worlds of, specifically in your former life, as you just said, the worlds of food, music, and culture, specifically food. I'm sorry, specifically music
Yeah.
and entertainment in general,
Yes.
have the lines have been blurred for years. As far as they both feed each other.
Mhm.
How have you seen the evolution of your work and what the I don't want to use the word industry standards because I don't believe that anybody that's a professional is aiming for the standard.
Right.
Um, the protocol, let's say that, the protocol of the industry, what it demands. How have you seen your work and the skills that you acquired early on benefit you in the landscape today?
Oh man. So let me tell you, one of the biggest things that I really like cut my teeth on when I was working with artists was lighting.
That's huge.
Um, you know, when you are doing makeup and hair and wardrobe for someone who's going to be on stage, you have to know all these different things about lighting and how it's going to hit the person and their skin and the things around them. So that was a huge thing for me. And let me tell you, learning that taught me a lot of things. There's no person that could sit in my chair that I cannot do their hair, their makeup, or their wardrobe because of it.
Right.
So you could be from the palest of pale all the way to the darkest of dark, the silkiest hair all the way. It doesn't matter, right? And that is something that really like actually set me apart from a lot of other artists and or stylists. Um, Another thing was they're not models. And
They don't
so,
understand it. Yeah.
so I had to be able to dress any size of a person. I there was one group, they were brothers, and one of them he was 6'6" and the other brother was 5'8". I
Yeah. I
had
mean,
to figure it
yeah.
out, because they're not selling
No.
that in the,
Not off the rack. No.
and I got to make them look, cohesive.
Right.
And then it also, one of the other things that made me understand image making was the mood of music.
Mm.
Doing music videos. Oh my goodness. That's the only reason why I think have been able to do a lot of the things that I've done,
Yeah.
especially movies, is because of music videos. You know, you have to really be in there. It was this one music video we did. It was like 100 degrees outside in New York. No AC, because
Yeah.
New York don't
Yeah.
believe in AC in the buildings. And then we couldn't have the fans on because you
Do the
can't
sound.
hit the
Yeah.
sound and all this. So I had to keep the artist and all of the extras and the models and the actors in this music video dry in basically 125-degree inside,
Yeah.
right? With all the lights and the cameras and
That's
all the
all the
stuff.
humidity. Yeah. Yeah.
And then on top of that, the two actors are skin to skin.
Okay. How?
Yeah. Yeah. At that time, I learned a lot about cornstarch.
Ah, yeah. The
I
magic of
learned a
course.
lot about a product called No Sweat. And then I also learned about Pam. So there's a mixture that you do, right? And
Lots
so
of sweat glands, I
it
guess.
keeps well, and it keeps the skin looking shiny instead of sweaty. There's
Got you.
two different things on
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
Sweaty looks nasty sometimes on camera. So I mean it's a lot. It's
So
yeah.
there's a little bit of, so in the food side, when we do shoots for food, like magazine shoots and even
Yeah.
movies,
Yeah.
there's so food styling is different than cooking because
Absolutely.
there's all this movie magic
Yeah.
that is,
And
so
chemistry.
absolutely. It's
Science.
very much science.
Yeah.
Science, mathematics, and
Oh
then it
my
comes
gosh.
down to, yeah, it's a lot. All the
Yeah.
things that they told you should learn in school, you know.
Yeah. No, seriously, shout out to my sister Fatima.
Yeah.
One of the things that I admire about her is she's like I said, a celebrity hairstylist. She knows the science of what she does for every single thing. And so I took that as a learning, and started to learn how do these products mix together. Even, like I had to redo my own makeup a lot of times when I was younger because of the type of products that I put in my hair,
Yeah.
right? And so I would do my makeup and I'd be all done. And then I put some hair products in because
Mhm.
don't let the smooth taste fool you. This afro takes a lot of product, right? And so I would get all the product in my hair and then my makeup would be like rubbing off or like I'd have a spot. And I'm like, why did that happen? Or, your oil
Yeah.
start dripping down
Hmm.
and it ruins the whole makeup. And I'm like, wait a minute, there has to be a way, right, for me to not ruin one with the other. And so I had to learn the science of it.
Yeah. Alchemy. Yeah.
Yeah,
So in
absolutely.
food, that's gastronomy. It's this and this means that. It makes that. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. There's, been so many highlights for you and different things that you've been involved in, and to see how you are able to navigate situations
Mm,
with grace, I believe, you know, and how you represent all of these different diverse backgrounds and ethnicities while still staying true to yourself, I believe
mhm,
is the secret to all of that. How do you how do you put into the things that you do your diverse knack for being able to navigate these situations, and
mm,
also inject your own ethnicity into everything you do? Because I believe that an artist, whether they say they did something or not, like, a Monet when you see a Monet, right?
mhm,
And so
mhm.
I believe every artist has a signature, if you will, in a style, and you also retain that no matter who you were working with.
Yeah.
So how do you feel that that translates?
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's probably harder than it's ever been in my career right now. I've never worked in the sports arena. So working with Napheesa, and I work with a co-owner of one of the WNBA teams, and working in corporate, I work with a lot of corporate individuals, executives who are a little bit more laid back than what I'm used to. And so it has just been a lot of listening and understanding what makes them comfortable, helping them to build their image. Because I was used to, coming from models, and models don't talk. So we put whatever we want to put on them. Artists are expressive.
Yeah.
And so, and one of the biggest artist that I worked with for a long time, she was a model as well. So I could put anything on that child, like, and she would rock it,
Hmm.
right? But when you're dealing with people who haven't had this lifestyle, they don't. Some of these red carpets and things like that are their first, right?
Right.
They do their thing on the court or in the boardroom and things like that, and sort of get them to kind of come out of their shell
Mm.
and come into my world of things. It takes listening and getting them to a place where they feel comfortable in how I might see them. And there's a lot of give and take. Some of the things that you see me style on people right now are
Mhm.
not necessarily the biggest Kim-ized,
Right.
Kimberly's thing, right? But it's for that client. And
Right.
one of the things that I pride myself on is being able, again, like I said before, whoever sits in my chair,
Right.
no matter who they are, no matter what their style, I can give them a service that they can be happy with. And so it's not always about interjecting your specific thing, but then learning, right? What that person brings to the table and how they want to express. Being an image maker is about making sure that their image is what they want to see and then giving it to the public how they want it to be seen. Right. And so definitely I always try to put a little I mean, if all my clients would wear rhinestones and red lip, a little bit of cheetah, I'd
Well,
be very,
well, I
very
mean,
happy.
that's, I
But
mean, at the end of the day, it's a very bespoke service,
it
right?
is.
And
It is.
so, I mean, you have to. How do you feel about being entrusted? Because so that takes a lot of trust
Yeah.
to entrust someone, that people entrust in you to be able to uh, deliver a statement
Mhm.
with 0 words. I think so. So we do it
Yeah.
with food all the time. So like
Yeah.
I the words on the menu, and then just that dish when it's sent out. That's, if it's not an open kitchen where the chef gets to speak,
Right.
that is the representation.
Right.
And then it's left up to interpretation too. So you have people's
Mhm.
different interpretation of what the art is,
Mhm.
but then there still has to be an overarching the narrative, right? And so I
Yeah.
believe you do that kind of flawlessly,
Thank you.
and that to me I think is the magic, because and you can tell. So there's a you can tell when someone is wearing something that they're not 100% comfortable with,
You
right?
definitely can.
Now
Yeah.
there is you can also tell when someone is in their zone,
Right.
but
Right.
then there's like a fine line between, okay, I'm growing into this. It's that baby deer stage,
Yeah.
right? It's like I'm learning.
Not the baby deer.
I'm figuring out how to walk, right? And
Mhm.
but the magic is when that person feels comfortable enough because they were instilled in with this confidence,
Right.
and then to go out and then live up to that. I think
Definitely.
that's the magic.
You know, um, there was an artist that I worked with for a long time. I still work with her from time to time. Um, and she was really coming into her own. Shout out to Isis. And I had to give her a signature hairstyle in order for her to really come out of her shell and be able to be who I knew she could be.
Mhm.
And that was so empowering. And I'm honored. First of all, let me just say, I'm always honored when anyone, man, woman, lets me do my thing, and bring them into a different world of how they probably have never seen themselves, right? And so we created this hairstyle, and I changed it up a little bit, but the hairstyle, the foundation of the hairstyle stayed the same. And it allowed her to really express herself in a way that she had never been able to express herself before, because just the blackness of it all, right?
Mhm.
Um, she couldn't quite get that out before because the hair never matched. You know, there's another. He was a TV personality, and hair color was a thing,
It's a big deal
right?
too. Yeah.
And the fit of his pants, he was wearing the wrong fit of pants for years. And when I got him into a slack that really fit his personality,
Mhm.
and that hair color, we switched up that hair color. Oh man, you couldn't tell us nothing.
There's a
Nothing.
that level of confidence that exudes from a being when they, you just know you got it together, right?
Yeah.
And it's not, at the end of the day, they say it's a fine line between confidence and conceitedness, but
I
there's
mean,
yeah, there's
who cares?
I got it. So I have a song called Flambe, and I have a line that says looking good, feeling good, smelling even better, right? And so I
You
believe
know.
there's a point where you, in order to exude that level of confidence, you got to feel good about what you're presenting. And
Yeah.
like they say with food, the first bite you take is with your eyes. Your first impressions truly do matter.
Yeah.
And they tell a story, whether it's the narrative you want to be told or
Hmm.
the narrative people make. Um,
Definitely.
in this hyper visual world that we live in today with social media and everything, how do you feel that the optics have been steered with, there's so many experts, if you will,
Yeah.
in so many
Yeah.
different ways, and that there's a lot of misinformation out there. That's what I'm really trying to get to.
Yeah. Oh
How do you
yeah.
feel when you see, it's sort of like when I look at like some of these cooking videos, whatever, and you can see
Oh my
like okay, you
gosh.
should, like, you're touching raw chicken and then putting it in ready to eat food like salad, like you're trying to kill
Yeah.
people. Like when you
Yeah.
see, how do you navigate in dealing with these situations, knowing what you know, knowing the ins and outs, the wrongs, the faux pas, if you will. How do you, one, see the future of imagery going with all the misinformation out there,
Hmm.
and then how does how do you deal with that? How does that make you feel internally? Your inner.
Well, I will say this. People like myself are one of a kind. Whether you like what I do or not, it makes a statement. It is what it is. If I wasn't who I was, you wouldn't know anything about me. You wouldn't know my work. You wouldn't know anything. Um, so there's that, and I think that the future of imaging is always going to be in the hands of trendsetters and trend makers. Um, Trend setting is a little bit different from making trends. I have been one to make a trend. There are photo shoots and styles that I have done with hair and makeup, and even the photography, the lighting, the backgrounds I've done and I've seen copied throughout the years. Um, or photo shoots that I've done, man, back in 2010, 2004. And I put that picture out on my website or on
Still
social,
translates, yeah.
and people they have no clue that it was done 20 something years ago. And so when you are a maker image maker in that way, um, our minds just work differently. And so if you're not in tuned with an expert that has that type of vision, right? You're only going to be copying
Right.
the things, right? You're only going to be doing what's within. And I'm gonna be real with you. I don't do a lot of watching on social media, but I do a little bit. And there things are very polarizing on social.
Mhm.
And so there are people that love what I do with Napheesa. There are people that hate it, absolutely hate it. And what I will say is that she loves it. And so as
Client
long as she,
satisfied.
as long as she loves it, and the things that she doesn't like, she tells me. Like, and the things that she thought she liked, because there are some times where we'll work together and I like something different or she likes something different, and we collaborate. We come, to the middle. And after it's said and done, and we do 3 outfits down the road and we see something else and she grows within her personal style, we're like, yeah, we don't like that. Or she'll tell me, what, there's stuff that I'm like, oh, I love that. And she's like, I wasn't really feeling that. And so I move away from it. Or, I make sure to kind of circle the block or however we got to do it. But having a vision, like to be able to say, okay, Nafisa, listen, you have this body, you have this presence, like let me go there every once in a while, right? Let me do this, or her even just seeing her personal style develop. I mean, the red carpet
Mm-hmm.
for Time
For time,
100.
yeah, yeah. Listen,
Listen.
so and that's a great segue too. I think, no, I know. So the work that you've done with Napheesa has been the most polarizing because of, if you look at the state of the WNBA
Mm-hmm.
a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, it wasn't a thing. The the
Yeah.
the the, the tunnel entrances, all these different things as far as fashion goes, it was very much downplayed or just non-existent.
Yeah.
The with the work that you've done with Nafisa and the way that it translated to it single-handedly, in my opinion, caused
Yeah.
the league to change.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people have said that to me
It's
actually.
facts. It's facts.
And I think why? Because people think brand is style.
No, not
They
the same.
think that name brands is style. And not to knock anybody that wears name brands. I love name brands, certain ones, not all of them. But you know, I've been on a lot of shoots where there is hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of clothes and the outfit still sucks. And you're sitting there like,
Mhm.
wow, that was a waste of a whole bunch of money, right? But it's also personal. And so what I like, you might not like. And what he likes or she likes or they like. And then Nafisa and her husband are polar opposites. So like when I did All Star, right? I styled them both. She's very edgy and rock star.
Mhm.
He's very laid back, classic man. So he's in a dapper suit and she's in, you know what I mean, a gown and some boots. So it's very it's polarizing at best. Like
Yeah.
there's not much you can do about that. Kind of back to your other question though, is that when you said about all these people out here acting as their, experts and things like that. I think that everybody that hones their craft, no matter whether we like it or not, they're expert in some way. Because let me tell you, these people on social, they may not be an expert in the food, but I'm gonna tell you what they are expert in is getting us to watch that mess. Okay.
Yes.
So,
And listen, everybody likes a car crash. You know what I'm saying?
listen. So while we all over here throwing up some salmonella, they got
Millions of
5
views.
million
Millions
point
of
seven
views.
eight nine 10 12
Millions of views.
views, right?
That is a fact.
So I'm very, there are certain things that I'm very black and white about, but there's a lot of shades of gray in our industry. And I've learned that if you take a little bit from here and a little bit from there, you can continue because it's hard to really understand someone's vision like me when I'm telling you something that you've never seen before.
Right.
Right. And so some people would look at me and say, she ain't no expert. Right. Like we all look up to La Roche, right?
Mhm.
He's the first person to come out in this industry that I could look at and say, okay, you know what? If I had to say, him and Pat McGrath, these two, and thank God they're both black, right?
Mhm.
Because regardless of who I work with, like I work with everybody, but I like to see myself,
Right.
right? And so if I had a mama and a papa, even though he's younger than me, I think I don't even know, but if I had a mama and a papa, it would be the two of them, right? And so it's very, very important to really know what it is that you're learning,
Yeah.
right? And once you start going down the aisle of the education of what it is that you're doing, you'll learn that you just gave everybody salmonella poisoning
Yeah.
with the
You'll
chicken.
figure it out at the
You
end.
know what I'm saying?
I I know that mentorship is a huge part of everything that you do.
Yeah.
When you think about the future of stylists and specifically young Black stylist, what is some of the wisdom that you would like to impart, aside from the technical things, but about this industry and about, in order to be in this industry, doing things independently, how you do them, there's a level of self assurance and a self pride that you have to have. You have to have
Yeah.
blind faith and belief in
Yeah.
your ability. Of course, that is based on a skill set that you had to acquire,
Yeah.
by being all of those roles.
Yeah.
But what is some of the knowledge that you would like to pass down to an aspiring, you know, young Kimberly? What would you say?
Wow. First of all, let me tell you, you just hit on a big passion of mine. I want to leave this earth empty. On that big day and the light in the sky, and the big G comes down and he's like, yo, I gave you 10 talents. What'd you do with them? I want to be like, yo, there's like 50 me's,
All running around here with
you
red
know?
lipstick on.
But they don't have to be specifically me, but
Right.
they have a piece of me somewhere in them because what you endowed me with, I've endowed them with. One thing that I will say is that I tell the people that I mentor and my children, it's two things. One, and I think it's so important to this generation, learn the rules and then break them
You can't break the rules unless you know them. Well, effectively.
effectively. When you are coming up in this game, learn the rules. Like, I didn't have a mentor. There was no, there wasn't YouTube, and um, the Jackie Ainas weren't there telling me all the things, all the steps, right?
Right.
Um, and so, man, like if I would have had a me back then, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. I can't. If I had all these like gurus trying to tell me what to do in master classes and this, that, whatever, like I teach master classes, right? And if I would have had half of that back then. So I try to give that right now. And so the first thing is learn those rules. Go down the path of all the education that you can seek, whether it's schooling, whether it is on the job training. And that's how I got it, right? Because there was no school in Minneapolis for makeup, hair. Not you could go to school for hair, and skincare, but not for what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a session stylist.
Right.
I wanted to do editorial. There was no hair school that could teach me how to do hair for movies. None of that, right? And so go down the path of learning. And then when you've learned a little bit, go practice. Do a case study. I do a master class about artists and case studies. Case studies are the most effective thing to do as an artist, as a stylist, to become a better you, a better version of you, and to break into this industry in a whole different way. I took 2 years to do case studies. That's how I became who I am. That's how I got called on for celebrity styling. That's how I got to do People magazine. That's how I showed up in everywhere from, I mean, goodness, I had models that I didn't even know. I didn't know about the men's magazines back then. And so I was working with these models, and next thing you know, my work is in like Playboy and Maxim. I had to think about it. What it was called, Maxim, FHM, and
Yeah.
things like that. And I didn't know anything about that world, right? But those girls back then, and that was just because like I was trying to do a shootout.
Right.
I was trying to get these pictures. I was trying to like practice my skill. And so that was what was available to me. And these girls put me on.
You got your 10,000 hours. That's what you did.
Listen, but let me tell you, these girls put me on. Okay, I worked with one of the most renowned adult stars back in the day, and when I tell you that woman is gorgeous, and I like went and did her makeup, and I was like shaking in my boots because I had seen like her pictures and things like that, and she is in this world of fantasy, right?
Right.
And so, and I come from this world of fashion, and I was just like, oh my goodness, am I going to be able to, like, do this, right? But it was because I had learned
Right.
what I needed to do. I could break the rules on her and create something so amazing, right? So learn them. Second thing I tell my kids and my god babies is you can be spoiled, but don't be a jerk.
Don't.
Yeah.
Do not be a jerk,
You can be spoiled,
but don't be a jerk.
don't be a jerk. And the reason why I say that is back to your comment earlier about conceitedness. And I said, oh, whatever. It takes a little bit of being conceited to do what these people do,
Right.
right? Like the Napheesas, the celebrities that are, even the Oprahs. Oprah's got a little, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could see even Mrs. Obama getting into her a little bit.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my gosh, Sabrina Carpenter, like Ariana Grande, right?
You have to have
You gotta,
a lot of self belief
yeah,
and not be able to be shook by much
yeah,
in order to pull things out of thin air.
yeah. But don't be a jerk, because the moment you're a jerk, the moment that people will go
Yeah.
other place, and even if they don't go other places, why do you want to be a jerk? And let me just say, the industry is it's already got enough jerks. We already got enough jerks in the industry, in the fashion industry, the beauty industry,
The world. I mean, they're
like,
everywhere.
but it's really bad in
Yeah,
our industry.
yeah.
It's really bad. And some of the clients don't treat us the best.
No.
We're the help.
Well, that's
Right.
the other thing. So that brings me to my next statement. So, in a world where more and more people are now seeing the importance of it, but not to the level that I believe it deserves to be. So, we touched on this before about prior the music industry before, when there was A&Rs and
Yeah.
you were as an artist, you were developed, and you were basically, your style was catered toward for you in
Absolutely.
order to, your image was of everything. And so this day and age, I don't believe that people understand, like you said, they don't understand the difference between a brand
No.
and your,
Pictures.
yeah, exactly.
They think just taking pictures is
And it's not the
or
same.
a logo is a brand.
A logo is definitely not a brand. And the point of it all is the importance of what all of it means. So there's a different thing between saying something, walking in the light of that something, and then having an aura that exudes all of these things, and that's a whole different thing. So if you notice, it's why there's no talking on the red carpet.
Right.
Because you don't need to talk. Everything is.
But you know what they say?
Being
They're calling your name to pose for these pictures,
Yes.
because that's the thing that is
and that's
going
all
to
that's,
be. Yeah.
and that's because the word, the statement is being made.
Right.
And I believe that when it's done properly, and the Mets coming up too. When it's done properly, it's a masterful thing to witness. And specifically when you have people that you see in other walks and other places, and then you see them in that moment, like it's a that transformation, that the swan from the duck syndrome. I think it's a beautiful thing to watch. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
And my favorite thing right now is so I style one of the owners of the Chicago Sky, and she is amazing, and she literally went from being a CEO of one of the biggest brands, one of the biggest retail brands, and then but before that, her resume is just like just outstanding, right? And she worked everywhere from in beauty and fashion and entertainment world and all of that, and then ended up in a company here in Minneapolis that is so far removed from fashion and all of that retail, but more lifestyles, home type of things. And so now getting to work with her in this stage in her retirement from corporate and bringing her back into the fashion side of things. I mean, this woman, let me just say, okay, first of all, shout out to Anne. Um, she just transforms, right? And can do anything from jeans and a t-shirt all the way to a full-on gown. And that is the thing that, when you're working with celebrities, you've got to be able to envision them, or executives and whatnot. You have to be able to envision them in so many different ways, right? And for some of them, like with the there are some of those players in the you have that are really comfortable in every situation, having on makeup, having their hair done, no matter whether they're playing or they're in the tunnel. And
Exactly.
others, like Napheesa, when she's like doing her thing, don't come towards her with no mascara. No, you know what I mean? And it don't hurt that she wake up like this, right? She's gorgeous. Like the girl rolls out of bed, looks like she got on a full face. But
Yeah.
like, I had to learn, like I was trying to put a whole bunch of makeup on her in the tunnel and she was like, she's like, I don't want all of that because I gotta play. And I don't want to play in all that makeup.
Right.
Overstood.
What would you say one of your best or worst styling experiences with? You don't have to say a name,
Hmm.
but has been and why? Like, what was the most challenging? And then what's the best to date? What's the best styling situation that you had?
So the worst styling situation I had was I actually styled a celebrity as a rapper that a lot of people know. And um, they lied to me. You know, it was like they were a yes man. So everything I put on them, they acted like they loved it
And then,
and didn't. But not only did they not love it, when I was asking, they just didn't have any answers for me. And so I don't know if they didn't love it or they just somebody else didn't love it and then they didn't like. I don't really know. But that taught me a lot because they didn't have really they didn't have any personal style of their own.
right.
And so anything that I said, they went with. And I was a young stylist at the time. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. They're gonna let me do whatever. And so I did whatever. Everybody from the publisher of the magazine to the director and the editor, they all loved it. She said she loved it. And then
Mm,
later down the road, hated it. So now everybody's wasted their time,
right.
and then this product is either going to be put out with something that you hate
Right. Or scrap.
or it's going to be scrapped. So either way, everyone involved got their time wasted. So that was a horrible experience. I haven't had that experience since, thank God. But I learned some things from that. I learned how to interview. I learned how to really get from people what it is that they like.
That's a skill set. That's
Yeah.
definitely a skill set, and it bodes well for what you need to do. What would you think? What do you think your best attribute as a stylist is? What do you think is your hallmark? That one thing you do that's your signature thing.
Ooh, that's two different questions.
No, it's one and the same.
Okay. So the best thing I think that I do is I can see people not just for what they look like in that outfit, but what that look feels like to their brand. That's my superpower. It's not always about just putting a bomb outfit on. It's about understanding the client's brand.
Right.
What is it that they are trying to get across? What does their brand mean to people that are looking at them and viewing them and all of the things? Um, I think the biggest time that I really had to understand that I worked with the Property Brothers for years. And I didn't know who they were. I had no clue who they were. And that's not
Everybody
saying,
knows the twins.
listen, but that's not saying anything because I don't watch television.
There's that.
So
There's that.
most of the celebrities I've worked with, I had no clue who they were. Before I worked with them because I just,
Right.
you know. So, working with them was very, very eye opening because they have a specific brand
Very much so.
and I didn't know it. And so, because I listen though, and I've never met a stranger, I was able to like get in really quickly and understand and start to, create as that and I was so thankful for. Because I wasn't hired by them. I was hired by the network, right? Actually, not even the network. I was well, yeah, the network. I'll say the owners. So it's like I was hired by Scripps at the
Yep.
time.
It's the parent company, yeah.
Then, turned into Discovery. And so it was like you have to make sure that their brand is upheld when you touch them because you're not the one that touches them every single day, right? And for me, I'm very organic. I don't like even getting into movies. That was a hard thing for me because I got to do the same thing 15 times. What you mean?
Yeah, continuity. We gotta
Yeah, like what that is.
Yeah.
And so with music videos, you only film for 1 or 2 days, so you got to have continuity, but you're within that time frame of doing what you did at that moment, right? So yeah, I that was eye opening, and then running into legends and having to style people like Mr. T and
I was gonna mention this when you said when you said signature hair, the first person that pops in my head, Mr. T had that mohawk.
I didn't get to touch his hair,
but but that was his.
Yeah, that was his thing, his signature, right?
So
You
much
knew
so
him
now that
by
he's
his.
balding, but he holding on to whatever he can into a mohawk, shape.
Listen, it's for real.
I'm sure it's a patch here and a patch. Like I'm talking, like I'm not follically challenged, but there's a patch here and a patch here.
Not follically challenged.
But he holding on to that because who is he without it?
But here's the thing. That's because somebody hasn't rethought his vision.
Oh yeah, his days of having the stylist are over.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. I don't know that much about his team or whatnot, but like Mr. T is so much more than just that mohawk. I understand how important it is, but man, there's so many other things about Mr. T. Like Mr. T was the first black man that I can remember that wore overalls and was famous.
Facts.
That was like a country. I'm from Mississippi. That was like a country bumpkin thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That wasn't a celebrity thing.
He definitely had overalls on, and he wore for many, many, many years. I saw this in the interview. He wore the same boots that he had because it kept him grounded.
Absolutely, right. And think about hip hop. Like think about fast forward to crisscross and
absolutely,
you know what I'm saying? Like overalls is the thing.
That's a great segue too. Speaking about hip hop and fashion and specifically, we'll take it to the 90s because to me that's the golden era of it all.
Okay.
How do you those hip hop has injected into runway and everywhere now. So it's the lines are so crossed. It's become very pop, if you will. What are some of your favorite things and then some not favorite things about the worlds of hip hop fashion that makes its way into runway or even editorial? Like what's
Oh my goodness.
Give me one thing that you love and one thing that you can't stand.
One thing I love is femininity. Femininity has entered hip hop like a boss. Okay.
That it has.
But I'm gonna give a shout out to Queen Latifah because if no one else in the game, Queen Latifah was always a lady.
Always.
I
And
mean,
regal. Yeah.
i.e. ladies first.
Yep.
Ladies first. Hey. But femininity has taken over the game of hip hop in a way that it never has before. And some people think it's too far, and other people think it's not far enough, you know? But I will say that cross grid of the hip hop girlies being able to get dressed by fashion houses.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, I'm in love with that. Um, I'm also in love with the expression of high fashion in hip hop because we did it anyway.
It was happening.
Like, y'all have been taking what we've been doing in our $7 videos, right? For so many years and putting it on your runway anyway. You might as well, and I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. We're not
Yeah,
going to go down
yeah.
that road
Yeah.
today.
Shout out to
But
Dapper Dan for sure.
shout out to Dapper
Dapper Dan is my as a kid from New York.
Dan.
All I ever wanted was to roll up on Dapper Dan in Harlem.
You want to talk about a fangirl moment?
Yeah.
If I ever was in his presence, I would melt.
He's one of those. There's a handful of people that I've met that have that aura with them.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Clinton's one.
Mm.
Like there's something about he just has it. I don't know what he just has it. Obama has that with him as well. Denzel and Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan has that special something that you can't know. Before I let you go, we like to do a little something called the lightning round.
Okay.
Where I'm going to ask you a series of rapid fire questions that require rapid fire answers. So the first thing that pops into your mind.
I like to be a little slow and steady.
No. This is why this is gonna be great.
Okay. All right.
For the internet. Okay.
All right. You know, I'm from Mississippi now. We like to.
I understand.
Like it a little chopped and screwed.
I get it. All right. So, favorite sneaker of all time?
I don't wear sneakers.
Favorite sneaker of all time? You gotta have one. If you just one.
Okay, I have a pair of Public Enemy Pumas.
Okay, that works. That checks.
I don't wear them, but I do have them.
Check. Okay. Go-to comfort meal after a big shoot.
Catfish.
Fried catfish.
Yes, and fried okra. Oh.
Okay.
Man.
Okay. Last album you played on repeat.
On repeat. My cousin is a hip hop artist. And I listen to like Christian and gospel music.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a CHH artist for real. And I always listen to his music.
And what's his name?
For real. This is his name.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm definitely checking that out. Dream brand collab if you haven't worked with them yet.
Pat McGrath.
That was an easy one. That was it.
But a very close second is Danessa Myricks. I have on Danessa today. So absolutely.
Okay. One word that you would use to describe the future of fashion.
Free.
And why do you say?
I hope for it to be free.
Absolutely.
Fashion is supposed to be expressive. It's not supposed to be in a box. And so that's another thing that I hope for all of us in fashion is that we all get to be free to express who we are, what we see, what we vision, what we yearn for inside, right? And free to work with the people that move us, right? That give us vibes and we can give vibes back too.
Yeah, that's amazing. You also are a person that's a lot like myself. When I was a kid, I was into a bunch of many different things, and I was always told, but not always, but by most, the masses told me, stick to one thing or just do that one thing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a product of many different mediums. You also are very versed in many different things, and those different things, we're not a monolithic people, right? Most people are not monolithic.
Right.
the fact that you have all of these different disciplines that you've mastered and honed them in your toolbox that you can choose to use at your whim is what makes you you.
I
And
appreciate
I
that.
think that is the biggest example that you can give to anyone, your kids, people onlooking, anybody who is fortunate enough to be a mentee. That is the secret sauce. The secret sauce is to walk in your 100% unadulterated truth to its fullest capacity and never stop being a forever student.
Mm.
If you do that, then it's a win. You are an amazing, amazing individual, a lightning rod, and definitely someone that deserves all of the things that you have coming, and there's more to come. Please, please tell everyone where they can follow you, what you have coming next, and how can they just get a piece of everything that Kimberly Steward has.
My goodness. So 2025 for me is the year of revamp. I have been head down working for so long. So I'm revamping my website, my socials, all of those things. But on Instagram, you can find me at Kimberly Steward. Please spell my
Yeah,
name
with a D.
right.
Yeah.
With a D. I mean, because Rod Stewart's daughter is also
Yeah.
Kimberly.
Yeah.
But
There's another Kimberly Stewart too.
there's another, oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
But not.
but
No,
not
no.
me.
But she. Yeah. Not.
But they
Not
know
you.
me.
Not you.
I heard that there's somebody that looks like me out there.
Kimberly Stewart is in film actually. She's a producer.
Got
She's a
it.
badass too, but she's not you.
Gotcha, gotcha. Hey, I mean, well, if she looks like me, I would just say, I'm just
Let's mix some of these checks up.
I'm saying. But so Kimberly Stewart on Instagram, Kimberly.Stewart on TikTok. And I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn and all the good stuff. And then my website is kimstewart.com. And yeah, I mean, just, find
And
me out there.
are we gonna be doing more of your YouTube stuff?
You
Is that
know,
coming? Are you
YouTube.
doing
Okay,
them
let
behind
me
the
tell
scenes?
you about YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube is a conundrum. So we're trying. I mean, I would love to. So if anybody wants to collab with me on the YouTube thing,
There you go.
I'm
Click
just
up.
saying, like,
You
for
heard
real,
it.
for
You
real.
heard it here first. She's looking
Yeah.
for collabs. So any YouTubers out there that want to stop, touching the raw chicken and putting it on the salad.
The raw chicken. Or, the YouTubers that want to stop putting the white powder under their eyes.
Yeah.
Holla at your girl.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Exactly. Well,
Definitely.
again, thank you so much for being here. Again, this has been the Taste Music Hear Food podcast show. I'm your host, Ed Porter. Till next time, peace.
You know what we doing. Y'all know it takes a special track to do this. I'm Mama P's and Q's dripping sauce. It's just the fluid, it's the chef. I'm here to remind MBC. No relation to NBC.